Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a company that we've actually talked about on the channel before, and I'm going to be showing you an option trade that I just opened up yesterday on this stock. Now the company in question is Walgreens Boots Alliance. They just came out with massive quarterly earnings. However, the stock's pulled back quite a bit over the last two trading sessions. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity to double down, add to my call option strategy on this stock, and get a couple more contracts dated for January 2022. So we're going to go through their earnings, we're going to talk about some recent news, and then I'm actually going to show you guys the exact contracts that I purchased on WBA that I think are going to make me a lot of money. Now before we get into it, you guys, please take a second to smash that like button. It's 100% free to do. It helps the channel and the video out in a big way. If you're not already subscribed to the channel itself, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think of this trade strategy, what you thought of WBA earnings, and if you're currently holding any Walgreens shares. Now without further ado, you guys, let's jump into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today we're going to be talking about Walgreens Boots Alliance, ticker symbol WBA on the NASDAQ. Now this is a super interesting stock for a number of reasons. So I've actually held Walgreens for quite some time. I already held a couple call options on WBA. They came out with Q3 on July 1st, and the stock has made a major downward move since that news came out. So I wanted to jump in here, talk to you guys about their earnings, a couple of pieces of recent news, and then show you how I've actually doubled down and added some additional call option contracts to this strategy, because I feel like it's a really good opportunity to make some great money on a super stable and safe stock. So you can see here, midday on Friday, the stock is struggling a little bit today as well. So it's down about 1.2%. So if you zoom out to a 5-year, you can see this was nearly a $90 stock back in 2017. Now when the pandemic really took hold here in March of 2020, you can see we are trading very close to what they're actually trading at right now. So mid 40 kind of range. Now it did pull back quite a bit. It hit a low of actually $34 in the month of October of last year. And then there was a lot of optimism around this company because they were really actively involved with the rollout and vaccination strategy. So the thesis or theory here was that as people go in to get their vaccine, they're going to pick up other items in the store. That's going to drive revenue for this company. Obviously, there was 2 shots needed for each person, so they're going to have multiple visits to these Walgreens pharmacies, and that's really going to be a bullish trend for this company moving forward. Now, that proved to be true, and over the next couple of months, this stock actually clawed back all the way up near to $55 in March of this year. Now, since then, it's really been trading in that low 50s range, and if we zoom right into a 5-day here, you can see that up until 2 days ago when earnings came out, this stock was still in that $52, $53 range. Now, as soon as earnings came out here, you guys, you can see this thing dropped off a cliff. So in the last 2 trading sessions, we've actually lost about $4.50 per share on WBA. So these shares actually dropped all the way to a low sub $48, so right around $47.66 earlier in today's session. Now, I was actually able to get in on my call options yesterday, but to me, this is a stock that's super undervalued. They pay a really healthy dividend of 3.8%. It's got a $41 billion market cap with a ton of cash on the balance sheet, which we're going to talk about. And I really don't think the share price deserves to get hit this hard based on the results that we just saw come out. Now, the rationale for the drop is that vaccinations are starting to slow down, and thus less people are going to be going into these pharmacies and buying things at the store locations. However, keep in mind, you guys, before any of this pandemic stuff happened, 3-4 years ago, this was an $80, $90 stock. So they really don't need that traffic from the vaccinations in order to be a very profitable company and really leverage the convenience factor for a lot of the communities that they serve. So in terms of their actual Q3 results, these were blockbuster. They exceeded all expectations. They raised 2021 guidance, and all around, considering this was the new CEO's first quarter, this was a phenomenal performance by Walgreens Boots Alliance. But like I said, people are thinking out into the future, and they're thinking Q3 might have been the pinnacle in terms of the vaccination traffic for this company. So if we scroll down, a couple of the highlights I wanted to point out here. So EPS, earnings per share, came in at $1.38 compared to a loss of $1.95 in Q3 of last year. Adjusted earnings per share increased 83%, you guys, and came in at $1.51 US, which was up 81% on a constant currency basis. So adjusted for currency or Forex, this was up over 80% year over year. Sales were up 12% overall. Now we're going to look in a second here how that broke out in the US versus Europe. But overall for the company, sales came in at $34 billion, which represents just over a 10% increase on a Forex adjusted basis. Now keep in mind why I have to keep throwing that in. This company operates in Europe primarily through a German partnership or joint ventureship. So a lot of the revenue that they actually bring in is in different currencies, and that's why they have to adjust for this constant currency basis. Now, if we look at year-to-date performance, sales are up 7.2% at $98.2 billion. Now, keep in mind, this is a $42 billion market cap company, and net cash provided by operating activities in the first 9 months of the year or year-to-date are $4.3 billion, which is up $912 million compared to where they were at the end of Q3 in fiscal 2020. Free cash flow came in at $3.3 billion, so again, up $873 million year over year. And obviously a lot of this strong performance was driven by the vaccination program, and they've administered now over 25 million vaccinations at their various pharmacies or through at-home appointments. Now, because of this super strong performance in Q3, Walgreens has actually raised their guidance to around 10% growth for the entire year, which is up from the high single digits reported at the end of Q2. So they're increasing their guidance for the year. They blew out analyst expectations for all these various metrics. However, the share price has been just destroyed since this news came out. And that's exactly where I saw this opportunity. Now, this is another article talking about Q3, and it really breaks out their sales by segment. So US or America-based sales versus international. So I wanted to quickly scroll down here and just show you guys a little bit of details on the actual various segments. So in the US, sales came in at $28.7 billion. So the lion's share of their activity is obviously based in America here. $29 billion, give or take, out of the total $34 billion reported for the quarter. And for that segment alone, they saw an improvement of 5.1% year over year. But where it gets really exciting here, you guys, is if you actually look at the international division, revenues were up 76% on a year-over-year basis, which represented $5.3 billion. So it's definitely a smaller overall contribution or portion of their sales, but the international growth through this joint venture in Germany is absolutely impressive, and this is something that I'm super excited about for this company long term. So to sum things up there, they're growing in both segments, both domestically at a little bit slower pace and internationally at a much more rapid pace, but growth in both segments nonetheless. Now, another thing that's super exciting here has to do with their cash position. So if you scroll down here, you can see they exited the quarter with cash and cash equivalents of $1.35 billion compared to just over $1 billion recorded at the end of the second quarter in 2021. So they've increased their cash position quite handsomely. And the other thing that's super exciting is if you jump back to this initial article, they've actually completed the strategic transaction or sale of their Alliance Healthcare business or business unit to AmerisourceBergen for total consideration of $6.5 billion, which was almost entirely cash. And that's actually allowed them to pay down an estimated $3.3 billion in debt, which has really put this company in a lot better overall financial position. So they paid down a ton of debt and they've got a ton of cash, which is growing on their balance sheet that they can then use for future activities moving forward. And this was really one of the big concerns that a lot of bearish analysts had on Walgreens was their cash or liquidity compared to their debt. So I feel like this has really been addressed in a big way during Q3 and is one of the things the new CEO, Roz Brewer, took very seriously for her first quarter in operation. And that's a perfect segue to this page here, you guys. This came out on March 15th when they actually brought Roz Brewer over from Starbucks. So this is the first quarter that Roz has been in charge of Walgreens. I would say this was an extremely impressive start. Roz is known for being a workaholic. She really takes pride in this position and being one of the best-in-class CEOs of any Fortune 500 company. So I'm really excited to see how she can follow up this initial opening act moving into Q4 and 2022. So based on these phenomenal earnings, in combination with the share price pullback here, I felt like this was a perfect opportunity to take advantage of what I consider to be a very well set up option play. So in terms of where I think this company's share price is going to go within the next couple of quarters, you can see there's a number of analysts that currently cover Walgreens, and they have price targets ranging from $50 US on the low end to $72 US on the high end. So a relatively big range, and if you take the average of all the analysts covering this company, you're looking at a 58.67 share price target. Now I personally think this could even be a little bit conservative based on the new leadership and guidance from Roz, and I think this could easily be a $65, $75 company within the next 12 months. So that leads us into the next page here, you guys, which is actually what I just did in my public account, is I took out 3 call option contracts on Walgreens Boots Alliance with a January 21st, 2022 expiration date. Now these are 45 strike calls. This is done through the QuestTrade platform. If you've been looking for an online brokerage that's really well set up for trading options, I would highly recommend you take a look at QuestTrade. I've been using it for quite some time, and the other online brokerages simply don't compare to QuestTrade if you're actively trading options. So take a look in the video description below. There's a link to QuestTrade. If you open up an account, you'll actually get $50 towards your initial trade commissions. So you get a handful of trades on the house if you use that link. But nonetheless, here's my option trade on Walgreens. Now this is a $45 strike, and I actually paid $6.60. So what that means, you guys, is by January 21st of next year, I need this stock, or I need shares of Walgreens to be trading at least $51.60 in order to break even on these contracts. Now if we were to use the average analyst price target of 58.67 and say that's where these shares ended up being on January 21st of next year, that would mean I'll make about $7.07 per share. Now keep in mind, each contract controls 100 shares, so I have 3 contracts, which means I control 300 shares. So if I were to times that $7.07 by 300, that means I'd make $2,121 US on this position. Now I paid $1,980 for these 3 contracts. I paid $6.60 each. Times 100 is $660 per contract, which means I'd be looking to roughly double my money or make 107% return to be exact if we're able to reach that average analyst share price target of $58.67. Now, as mentioned, I think that's fairly conservative. If, for example, Walgreens shares were able to get up to $65 by January of next year, I'd be looking at $1,340 of profit per contract. So overall for the trade, I'd be looking at making just over $4,000 in profit, you guys. So that's the power of options, and that's why I think this is such an exciting opportunity to take advantage of strong earnings with a share price move that simply does not make sense. And if we jump back to our initial chart here, you can see that this company, as mentioned, was trading up in the low to mid 80s back in 2017. So realistically, you guys, they've come a long way over the last few years. And I see no reason why Walgreens shouldn't be able to get back into those mid 60s by early next year. So that's it for today's video, you guys. I wanted to get this out just to show you the back-end thinking or strategy behind these call options that I picked up in case you're looking to do a similar type of trade. I personally think the market is not respecting the earnings that this company just came out with, and I'm going to use that to my advantage here to hopefully make myself a good amount of money. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of this analysis, what you think of Walgreens shares moving forward. If you're still listening at this point in the video, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you smash that like button. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel itself, McNallie Money, please feel free to do so. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.